leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress has branded the TRRC as one-sided. Business groups in South Africa and Russia signed a memorandum of understanding towards promoting trade and investment. Leprosy patients in Nigeria face stigma as a result of the global health crisis. These and more coming on your way on the news desk. Hello and welcome to the news desk with me, Juldanya Suare, and now the news in detail. The leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress, Mama Kande, has told iAfrica TV that the recommendations of the TRRC will yield no positive result. In an exclusive interview with iAfrica TV, Kande further described the work of the commission as one-sided, saying Jammeh wasn't accorded the opportunity to tell his side of the story. Omar Ahmadou Toure tells us more in this report.
Mama Kande, the leader of GDC, says TRRC's recommendation report would not produce any positive outcome, describing it as partisan.
I don't think if nothing is going to come out of this, because they have failed in the first complete part of it, that is the Jammeh Commission, and then I don't know what they're going to do with the recommendations of the TRRC. And as I said, for me, it is still not completed because you have heard only one side of the story. Yeah. You really didn't heard about Jammeh's story.
Kande accuses lead counsel Esafal of being disrespectful to witnesses, especially the elderly, based on their academic status, and ridicules them during interrogation.
Handle some of our elders, kind of looking very low at them because of their level of education. Because you have degrees or whatever degree that you have doesn't mean that somebody is not important or somebody cannot handle a position. Or respect him with the little that he knows. But, facing them there, belittling them, laughing at them, I mean, he should be more stationed and to a little bit more serious. But what I'm saying is, whatever job that you were doing, you cannot down look at me because of the level of education that I have. To tell people that you are liars or you are lying and all these things, I mean, in our culture, for the law, it may not be an issue, it's not a problem, but in our culture, it is an issue.
On the Truth Commission's visit to Kanilai and the surrounding forest, allegedly having mass graves, the GDC leader says the TRRC team should not have gone to such places as they were not sure of what they were looking for.
I saw them went to Kanilai. Went around the whole bush saying that the graveyards are here, but we cannot find them anymore. Why didn't they go there then, if they cannot prove anything at the first place? Why did they went there if they cannot prove anything? Just to sell us an empty bush or empty land, telling us that the graveyards were here, but we cannot find them. Or the land is just big, we cannot look for it. So they should have done their research before going there. And that people were thrown in the pool for crocodiles to eat, they cannot draw that water away. Just 1 or 2 water tanks. They could have drawn that water to prove to the Gambian people this is exactly what is happening.
He says TRRC could have done better by drawing water from the pool so as to discover human skeletons to prove that people were thrown in the pool for crocodiles to eat. Mama Kande was born in 1965 in the Jimara constituency, Central River region. He is the founding leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress GDC, which was formed in 2016. He ran as a candidate in 2016 presidential election and received over 17% of the votes. He was formerly a member of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC, but was expelled, and that led him to form the Gambia Democratic Congress. Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadou Toure.
GDC leader branded Gambia's Truth Commission as one-sided. Now the Association of Economic Cooperation with African States and the South African United Business Confederation have signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at promoting economic relations between South Africa and Russia. The agreement creates a framework for the parties to enhance business opportunities through exhibitions, conferences, and other networking events that facilitate communication between major business actors in Russia and South Africa. Details in this report.
The South African United Business Confederation comprises South African representative companies, industrial associations, and regional joint economic organizations, while the Association of Economic Cooperation with the African States promotes Russian business on the African continent. The two associations have signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance relations between South African and Russian businesses.
The signing of the MOU symbolizes a new phase in the relations between the two countries. And South Africa, as an important partner for Russia and a participant in the merging of the world order, there is no better time than now. Even though we have these challenges of the COVID-19, but we know that Russia, for example, has developed its own vaccine, which is a Sputnik, which currently our own regulatory, health regulatory SOE is busy looking at approving Sputnik as one of the vaccine to be utilized in this country.
The MOU will ensure further cooperation in trade, investments, imports and exports, tourism and agriculture between South Africa and Russia.
The MOU will create a very important framework for the parties to enhance business opportunities through activities such as the trade desk, the exhibitions, the conferences, other networking events, and furthermore, access to technology and many other platforms we will unlock as we continue.
I'm convinced that it will serve as a basis for further strengthening of not only Russian South African ties, but those between Russia and African continent as a whole, which is in line with the provision of the declaration of the first Russia-Africa summit in Sochi, in particular, the intention to support Russian and African entrepreneurs in exploring ways of mutually beneficial cooperation.
This is important for us, and we will be glad to join all the opportunities. And we know, for example, how women in business are important in Africa. It is also so here in Russia. So definitely there are a lot of things that just, of similar importance that we will be glad to follow. And of course, employment is a very important issue here in Russia as well. And bringing this business between our countries, this will create new jobs, definitely.
According to the International Relations Department, bilateral relations between South Africa and Russia are at optimal level and continue to grow from strength to strength.
South Africa and Russia signed a memorandum of understanding to boost investment and trade in their countries. Now from that report we come back home, because as the voter registration exercise draws to an end, the Alcalo of Welingara has on Monday told iAfrica TV that the voter registration exercise in his community has been very peaceful with little negative incidents. Alhaji Sey Hundur made these remarks as some communities in the Gambia witnessed demonstrations over alcaloship and attestations. Details in this report.
According to Alhaji Sey Hundur, the voter registration exercise in Welingara has been peaceful and without any incidents. He said, other than the occasional malfunctioning of some of the machines in the center, things are going smoothly and people have been very cooperative.
Since the onset, we haven't got any problem here. We are going nicely and people have accepted what we asked them to do, and they are doing it, and those inside are doing their job accordingly. So therefore I'm really satisfied with that.
The Alcala of Welingara also described the voter registration in his community as special, due to zero occurrence of negative incidents of any kind. The youth of Welingara, he said, have turned out in large numbers to partake in the voter registration exercise in order to secure their right to vote in the upcoming 2021 elections.
Well, I've been seeing so many youths coming up, definitely. In the case of Welingara, it's a special anyway through the registration, because I've been hearing problems somewhere here and there. But in the case of Welingara, everything is, people are serious on what they are doing. Youths are turning out to come. Some are coming out for attestation. So we are treating them equally. Once they are Gambian, Gambian people, And I'm giving them the responsibility of having all their, voting rights.
The Alcalo added that the relationship between the party agents of the different political parties stationed there is cordial and wonderful, with no occurrence of conflict. He further thanked the officials and the public for showing up to register and for keeping the peace and tranquility the Gambia is known for.
People are coming definitely in this area. I have nothing to say about other than telling them thank you very much for being keeping the peace and tranquility, which we are all known of, that Gambia is a special place in Africa. And why? Because of our peace and tranquility.
The Independent Electoral Commission began the national voter registration on Saturday, 29 May 2021, for a period of 44 days, and 1 million Gambians are expected to register ahead of the December 2021 elections. According to the IEC, 250 voter registration centers will be open to the public daily, and a total of 740 voter registration centers throughout the country. Reporting for iAfrica TV, I am Hadija Haita Toure.
The Alcalo of Welingara described the ongoing voter registration in his community as very peaceful. Now, the advent of the coronavirus global pandemic has brought fresh challenges for people affected by leprosy because of stigma. In countries like Nigeria, where the disease is prevalent, many leprosy patients end up as beggars due to the socio-economic problems they face. According to official figures from 161 countries in 6 WHO regions, over 20,000 new leprosy cases were registered globally in 2019 alone. Details in this report.
38-year-old Peter Iyuki has been affected by leprosy since he was 6. Peter says life has not been easy after losing his job last year.
I was working with a missionary hospital, but as of last year, January, I was sacked from the hospital because of the COVID. They say that as COVID have come, there are not any money as before, so they will not be able to keep some of the staff, so they dropped some of us.
According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, over 3,500 people get infected with leprosy every year in Nigeria. It's a bacterial infection that, if not treated early, can damage the nervous system and cause loss of muscle function, numbness, deformity, and even paralysis. Due to stigmatization towards people affected with leprosy in rural areas, many patients are often cast out from their communities.
Lepers here say their plight has worsened since the advent of COVID-19, especially with job losses, disruption of medication, food, and other relief materials. Many say they've been forced to turn to begging so they can survive.
And that's why some non-governmental organizations like the Leprosy Mission Nigeria are doing their bit to assist them.
What we do for people who already have leprosy like this, we do empowerment and livelihood. And what that simply means is that we do vocational trainings for people like this, and we do skill acquisitions. And at some point, after the training, we give them setup materials, sometimes funds, and sometimes we buy maybe sewing machines, and some of them who go into plumbing and all that, we just get them to start up something.
But they say more needs to be done for patients.
Our support is not enough. The ones we have been doing so far. So we need more support from the federal government so as to help us to bridge that gap, in terms of vocational training. Stigmatization is a very huge issue. If the government it's all about sensitization, public awareness campaign. It should not be a one-off thing. It should be a continuous thing.
President Muhammadu Buhari passed a disability bill in 2019 that criminalizes discrimination against people with disabilities and enforces their rights and privileges to education, healthcare, and accommodation. But until the effect of the bill is felt by people like Peter, life remains difficult.
That report from Nigeria will take us to our first break. Still to come, it's more local and international news. Do stay tuned.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is the news desk coming to you live on iAfrica TV, and I am Julde Suare. Now to the rest of our stories. The youth advisor to President Adama Barrow has said that the leader of the United Democratic Party, lawyer Ousainou Darboe, is old and has no strength to rule the Gambia. Henry Gomez made these remarks at the State House, where local government authorities from West Coast region met with President Adama Barrow. Details in this report.
The people of the Gambia are at the crucial stage towards the most eagerly awaited presidential election since the ousting of the former President Yahya Jammeh in 2017. Henry Gomez, the presidential advisor on youth matters, said Gambians can only be safe in the hands of President Barrow considering the situation of the country. Henry accused the leader of the United Democratic Party, Ousainou Darboe, for lacking strength and well-being to rule this country.
Ousainou cannot rule this country. Ousainou is already old. Ousainou has no strength. If you give your votes to him, where you are sitting right now in the State House, he will turn it into a hospital and turn his office into a pharmacy because he will only be there to cure himself.
According to him, giving this country to another ruler will further disturb the people of the Gambia and will in fact make them suffer. Mr. Gomez further added that the development President Barrow has done for this country within 5 years, none of the former president has done it during their 5-year term.
Adama Barrow dafa liggéey Gambia. Nañ leen ñu nangulante ne.
What I will tell you is that President Barrow has developed Gambia. Let's agree that he will develop Gambia within 5 years. Sir Dawda Jawara, with all the respect I have for him, did not do it. And if in Yahya Jammeh, let's take our votes and vote for President Adama Barrow. If what is supposed to be done has to be done before, then President Barrow wouldn't be here to construct roads, provide electricity after 52 years.
Henry Gomez, like other party militants, is optimistic that Barrow will sweep the December polls and get back to the State House by 2022. To him, after 22 years, Gambia is still struggling to reach the promised land. According to Henry Gomez, his party went for an alliance with President Barrow's National People's Party because they have a manifesto that promotes equal rights and justice. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Henry Gomez says lawyer Darboe is old and therefore cannot rule the country. Following the job losses and closure of small businesses thanks to the coronavirus global pandemic, many Ugandans are forced to return to agriculture and other natural resources dependent activities to manage and survive the crisis. The Ugandan economy is emerging from the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, but prospects for growth are undermined by increasing pressure on its natural resources, according to the latest World Bank economic analysis for the country. We have more of that in this report.
Prosper Tuhaise is a manager of a betting firm in the capital Kampala. Twice the government imposed restrictions to curb the spread of COVID-19. Betting parlors were among the many businesses forced to close. And like many others, Tuhaise had to find something else to do. He decided to put some of his savings into rearing chicken.
There is no income because we are not pressing any bet which we get money from. Yet we have to maintain some of the staff, paying them, and also premises we are renting. So we are spending every day, not earning any income.
It has not been an easy transition for Tuhaise. With most of the businesses shut down because of the pandemic, Tuhaise spends much of his time here. He says rearing chicken is helping him to feed his family. Tuhaise is hoping to make a profit from rearing chicken, but also from the other crops he grows on the farm.
The good thing you can do without betting in lockdown, but you cannot do without food. So farming, that the food production remains whatsoever, whether there's lockdown, whether there's pandemic, whether there's anything. So that's where the only business you can do when there is total lockdown, because people must keep eating.
Figures from Uganda's Bureau of Statistics show that 70% of Ugandans are involved in agriculture. According to a June 2021 World Bank report, the significant shift of Ugandans to agriculture in response to the crisis has heightened land degradation and deforestation. That too is a concern for environmentalists.
This whole area was forested about 30, 40 years ago. There's nothing left. There's a little patch over there and a little bit of swamp there. So I mean, forests are being cut down seriously, even in Uganda, even in forest reserves.
According to Global Forest Watch, Uganda has lost 7.6% of its tree cover in the last 18 years. The government is now encouraging tree planting in degraded areas. For the new farmers like Tuhaise, without work now, putting food on the table during this period remains a priority.
Ugandans are forced to return to agriculture thanks to the COVID-19 global pandemic. Well, that report brings us to the end of the news desk. But for more of these and others, join us in our subsequent news bulletins. Many thanks indeed for the pleasure of your company, and do have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Hello!